Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, October 23rd, 2012. We're in the Village Boardroom. It looks like it's 7:02 p.m. We have a board meeting followed by the Committee of the Whole meeting. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mrs. Booth. How are you? Would you please call the roll?
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present. Present.
Present. We do have a quorum. And Trustee Gattuso, it's nice to see you back in the fold. I know we had a little stint at the hospital. I know they took good care of you, and I'm glad that you're back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Item number 4, under presentations. A, proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. Chief Padlick, do you have any?
Just have to declare it and sign it.
We've been celebrating Red Ribbon in the schools and in the community. If you've noticed along the village in the front and on the sides, we have red ribbons up, and the purpose for the red ribbons, several years ago, a DEA agent was brutally murdered and tortured in his quest to fight the drug trade being brought over from Mexico into our country, and in his honor and to promote a drug-free lifestyle and better choices, the Red Ribbon Week was created. It's also Anti-Bullying Week, and as a result of that, the police department has been in the Westchester schools during this week visiting with kids and students at their lunchtime. So I believe the mayor has a proclamation to make.
Yes, I just wanted a little feedback from our chief. A proclamation recognizing the week of October 21 to 27, 2012 as Red Ribbon Week. Whereas the Village of Westchester values the health and safety of all of our citizens, and whereas substance abuse is particularly damaging to the one of our most valuable resources, our children, and a contributing factor in the 3 leading causes of death for teenagers are accidents, homicides, suicides. And whereas it is the goal of Red Ribbon Week and the Village of Westchester to involve families, schools, businesses, churches, law enforcement agencies, and service organizations in all aspects of this campaign, and establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use. And whereas the Red Ribbon Week campaign theme promotes family and individual responsibilities for living healthy, drug-free lifestyles without illegal drugs and the illegal use of legal drugs. And whereas there are many activities planned during Red Ribbon Week campaign in the village. And whereas I, the president of the Village of Westchester, deem it appropriate to designate this week, the 21st to the 27th, as Red Ribbon Week in Westchester, Illinois. Therefore be it proclaimed that the president of the Village of Westchester does hereby honor Red Ribbon Week by designating this week Red Ribbon Week in Westchester, Illinois, proclaimed today the 23rd day of October 2012, and I'm sure that all of the staff and elected officials from all of our groups are signed on to this as well. So that will be the proclamation. Is there anything else?
Nope, not this evening.
Okay, item number 5, public comments and questions. To give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak, and in the interest of adjourning by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length. Unless further time is granted by the board, we have comments and questions on active or general matters. Please step up, introduce yourself to our clerk, and we'll see what we can do.
Good evening. My name is Bill Ostendorf. I live at 2901 Mayfair, corner of Carlisle and Mayfair.
Could be.
And I've got a couple questions about the progress of the street work being done on Carlisle Avenue. That's a little better that way. My questions are, why there hasn't any work been done in 2.5 weeks on our street? We've had the curb tied up, excavated. I was impressed with the operation when it first started. They came in with the sewer crew, did their sewer work, came in there, did the root pruning on the trees, sawed for the excavation, sawed the street for the excavation of curb and gutter, came in there very efficiently, poured the curb and gutter, and then abandoned the job for about a week. Poured some driveways, came back. Now we've got one side of the street with curb there. No trenches are not backfilled on the back side. They're backfilled on the curb side, on the street side. Now we've opened up the other side of the street. Got an open trench. Obviously, you can't do anything with the curb and gutter because of the rain the last couple of days. But now we've got two sides of the street screwed up. It would have been very easy to come in there and backfill the sidewalks and streets. My grandson got out of the car the other day, couldn't see the edge of the driveway because it was filled with leaves. Sprained his ankle. They had to take him to the hospital. I mean, we've got a dangerous pedestrian type of situation there, or anybody that gets out of the car at night. And there's no reason that the curbs can't be backfilled and finished on one side of the street before they do any work on the other side of the street. I mean, I was impressed with the early start and the efficiency of everything that happened here. When it came down to rubber meeting the road, now we got a mess. We go down, the people on Bedford, they've had the same activity for a longer period, maybe a week longer than we have on Carlisle, and that's totally unacceptable. I've been in this business for 40 years. I know what I'm talking about. You don't do things like that. You don't leave people hanging there for 3 weeks. Again, on that question I ask, why is it that we always seem to do the work in the fall? Is there some reason that we let these contracts in the fall? Do I have an answer on that?
Well, as far as the contracting in the fall, it wasn't approved by the board until later this summer that any project was going to be done. And
Why isn't this, every fall we seem to go through this thing. We're trying to rush these jobs in, squeeze them in. And the busiest time of year for asphalt pavers is the fall. Everybody wants to get everything done before the snow flies and temperature's too cold to pave. We go through this doggone thing every year. Why is it that we can't hold these projects off till springtime and get another winter out of our roads? Albeit that they might not be the best condition, but you get another winter out of it. And but now we're racing like hell to get stuff done and trying to put pressure on the contractor to get things done. But he's got 4 or 5 other jobs and 4 or 5 other municipalities doing the same thing. It doesn't make sense to do this stuff in the fall. We do it every year. It's absurd. It doesn't make sense. The other thing I've got on this subject, or something completely away from the street repair thing. I'm just driving around the neighborhood today, and I see a lot of these landscapers out there today just blowing leaves into the gutter. And I'm really sensitive about leaves going in the gutter because I live at the low end of the street where all the water runs to, and the leaves clog up the drains all the time. And I'm out there in the middle of the night cleaning the damn leaves out of the gutter. But now we got landscapers running around here just blowing the leaves into the gutter. And the same thing with landscapers in the wintertime. We have landscapers plowing driveways out across the street. They get in the driveway, push the snow out of the driveway, go across Mayfair Avenue, take all the salt and slush from Mayfair Avenue and park it on my front lawn, and maybe it'll go away in 2 or 3 weeks, and in the spring I have to replant the grass because the salt has burned it all out. If these landscapers are gonna be plowing snow out there, they should be leaving the snow on the lot that they're plowing. There'd be no reason to go across the street with this doggone thing. So I've had my say, but I'm really, like I say, I was really impressed with the operation for the street repairs. As it started, it has faded, nothing is happening. And I get the call. I talked to Chris Faust, the engineer from Christopher Burke, very good company. He said, well, they're busy at the other end of town. Well, if they're busy at the other end of town, what the hell, they come in here, open up holes and trenches in our end of town? Doesn't make sense. You don't do anything unless you can finish it. Okay, those are my comments.
I can assure you we'll be making a phone call tomorrow, and Dave Stozier, our Public Works Director, will get back to you
Well, you know,
in some kind of
getting a
fashion.
return phone call from the Public Works Director, I have a chance with that way, but more likely chance to.
Well, this is the gentleman right here. He's a new Public Works Director.
Oh, new Public Works.
Yes. So now that we got God here, so he'll be able to,
Okay.
because Dave is very good at returning phone calls and handling situations such as you've indicated today. So,
I don't recall getting any call from you.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I haven't received any calls from you or haven't made it to me yet. So.
My wife came yesterday and told that she'd have a phone call today, and I called a couple of weeks ago.
Mr. Ostendorf, if you'd leave your phone number with Dave, I'm sure he'll get back to you as soon as he has some information.
Can do that? Okay. We'll never need.
thank you, sir. Anyone else? Public comments? Once, twice. Okay, that closes our public comments. Is there a public hearing? I don't believe so.
No.
Item number 7, the consent agenda. There's items A through E, the bills, the minutes. Ordinance amending title, or Chapter 7, Animals and Animal Control. Resolution amending economic incentive agreement between the village and Proviso Petroleum. And a motion authorizing village manager to enter a consulting agreement with Energy Choices. Those are A through E. Does anyone need something pulled? Brian?
Item D, please.
D is in dog?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Items A through E, anything else pulled? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve A through E with the exception of D, David?
So moved. Second.
Tom and Nick. Kathy, roll call, please.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Folia?
Aye, motion carries. Item number D under the consent agenda, is there a motion and a second to approve the resolution amending the economic agreement? Motion by
So moved.
Tom, second by, I'm sorry, Paul? Brian, discussion.
I was opposed to the agreement to begin with and haven't heard any compelling reasons to extend this, due to the developer's non-performance, so I'm opposed to the resolution.
Any other comments? I know there were some time delays in dealing with MWRD. I know I made mention of that, I think, at one of the last meetings as well. And the location of the sanitary sewer, whose it wasn't listed on our map as being ours. I know Hope contacted MWRD, certainly as the developers did, and they were able to tap into that sewer, so.
You also had the county and the state on that one too, with the right-of-ways too, and water and some other stuff too, remember?
So, okay, so noted. Is there a motion and a second on the floor for approval? Oh, no, we had it. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
No.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Folia?
Aye, motion carries. Anything under the active agenda? I don't see anything.
No.
No? Managers report.
Okay, just a couple of things to note. We have contracted with a production firm out of Florida to do a promotional video of Westchester, and tomorrow is our filming day. So anybody who sees a camera running around town and would like to be put onto film and memorialized, please stop by and say hello. The filming will be from 8 a.m. through approximately 6 p.m. Just a reminder that 2 weeks from today, November 6th, is the general election. We encourage everybody to come out to vote. There are approximately 8 polling places in Westchester. If you don't know your polling place, you can give us a call here at the Village Hall. We'll try to help you out with that. And polls are open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Also, just a reminder that we are coming back with the Veterans Day run. It will be held on Sunday, November 11th. Anybody interested in participating can see our newsletter and go online and get yourself registered. And if you would like to volunteer, please give Gary Cassanders a call at the Park District. And that's all I have for today.
That's it. Village Attorney.
Yes, if you recall, several meetings ago, we approved a limited groundwater ordinance, limited area groundwater ordinance for a Shell station. The attorney for the property owner has submitted his paperwork to the IEPA, and they wanted a little bit larger area defined. So we have a meets and bounds description that covers a larger area in which we have to prohibit the use of that groundwater as a potable water supply. So we're going to have an ordinance on the next agenda with an updated or revised legal description describing the area that's already been received preliminary approval from the IEPA. The attorney sent me the legal description, so I advised him that we can't just substitute the legal descriptions in an ordinance we already passed. We have to amend it and approve it. So it'll be on the agenda, if you don't mind, on the consent agenda for the next meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. Board members. Frankie, anything EDC?
We basically spent the entire meeting going over and discussing the raw results from the Community Leadership Summit that we had last Monday evening. That's all I got. Yeah, it took up the whole time.
Good. Wally, anything on the Green Committee?
Yes, a couple things. We've completed our last e-recycling for the season. I can't remember if it was before or after the last board meeting, so I'll mention it again. We won't be active until probably April of next year. We go into, I call it the winter hiatus. I don't think any of us really feel like being out there in below zero weather, so we're going to hold off on there. Also, today, two or four students from Proviso Math and Science met with a member of Triton College, the engineering section. They came over to the fountain, met with the mayor, and they took measurements and they took pictures and whatever of the fountain, looking to see is there's an alternative energy source to power the fountain. So that's on its way. It's kind of a neat idea. And as we progress further, I'll keep the board informed on that.
Good. Tommy, Cap?
This year, CAB will be involved with the Toys for Tots program, and there will be a collection box in the front lobby for anybody who would like to donate. Also, there's going to be donation collections for the food drive or for the food pantry here in the front office and at both Park District buildings if anybody would like to donate food for the food pantry.
I think we're involved in the Scout one as well. That's
Yes.
coming up. I know B made mention of that last meeting as well. Paulie, anything on
Nothing, Sam, been down, out of the mix for a little bit.
glad to have you back. Nikki, anything?
No, just the IML this past weekend. It's pretty good. Met with a lot of other elected officials, vendors, and listened to some pretty good seminars. So it was well attended, and thought it was a pretty good time as far as all the topics. And we got copies of the discs. So if anybody wants any of the handouts or anything that they had, I'll bring you guys a copy. So.
Good. B, anything?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Chief, any remarks? used them for the guns. So,
Again, for residents and business owners in town, we do have red ribbons available at our police department if you'd like to join in our celebration and display your support. Also, next Wednesday is Halloween, the 31st, and the suggested trick-or-treat hours in the village of Westchester are from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. We'd like to remind everyone to use caution when driving in and around residential areas and ask residents to illuminate their front porch.
Jimmy.
Today, myself and Captain Labita worked with our partners over at the Westbrook Corporate Center and presented our annual life safety life safety talk that we present to the captains of the various businesses, the life safety captains, going over basically the results of the evacuation drills we performed last week and any concerns they may had or have, and see where we could possibly improve, or if they had any other concerns that we could actually ease their minds with. So, and that was, as usual, very well received, and it's always a good time to get out and work with the businesses in town as well. So,
Great. Thank you. Annie, how's the finances?
Finances are good. The village's 2012 Treasurer's Report has been prepared. It will be published next Wednesday, the 31st, and following that, a certificate of publication will accompany the Treasurer's Report filed with the Cook County Treasurer.
Gregory.
Yes. First off, I'd like to bring out a little bad news. Tracy Celestino, our employee, as well as Carl Celestino, who's on the Westchester Community Image Councils. It's Carl's mother-in-law. Tracy's mother is very ill, and I hope we can all keep her mother in our prayers as she hopefully gets better. I don't know the extent of her situation at this point, but Tracy's taken some time off to tend to her mother in the hospital. So again, I hope I know we all know Carl, and Tracy works in our dispatch center. So. On another note, Molly has been working with our publisher of the newsletter, and they've actually reached out to Molly originally to state that they'd like to look at sort of a redesign or a refresh of our front page of our newsletter. They've got some ideas for us to take some of the content we have and you know, make it a little more flashier, a little more presentable, with some ideas that they've done in other towns. And Molly has talked to them about coming in to meet with us. While we were doing that, another thing came up, which was to sit down with them and possibly do some of our layout as we prepare for it. Typically, they do the layout, we present them with the content, and they spend a couple days doing the layout of it. Molly and I will be sitting with them. We've got some software that will allow us to do the layout here, or at least a big portion of that layout. First off, to speed it up, but also to get a better idea of what the look will be before sending it back to them for any proofreading that will be done on their end. So what we've talked to them about, especially the redesign, Molly had discussed with them, not necessarily pushing it through right away, but probably in January, maybe our first issue with a little bit of a redesign, and hopefully before then, Molly and I will sit with them and learn how to do the layout and put the layout together in-house more than having to have it sent out.
Good. Thank you. Molly, anything to add to that, since you're the newsletter queen?
Newsletter be more consistent with the rest of the content. The newsletter has evolved over the past year and a half that we've been doing it, and we just like to help give it a fresh new start for 2013.
Thank you. Dave.
Since the last board meeting, the Public Works Department has been busy. We did 2 sanitary point repairs in preparation for the upcoming sanitary sewer lining project. We've also performed the restoration as a result of those 2 repairs. We also performed parking lot repairs, the village-owned parking lot on Cermak, just east of Rocky's Pizza. That'll be reopened tomorrow. We did some pavement striping earlier this week, which will be completed tomorrow. That parking lot will be reopened to the public. We had some drainage issues there that have been corrected. We also repaired a water main break today on Manheim. Tomorrow we'll begin the pavement restoration for that project. Today we also began leaf collection, which will be ongoing probably for the next several weeks. Ash tree removal, our arborist has identified 180 ash trees throughout the village for removal. 110 of those will be removed by village forces, 70 by contractor. The village hasn't started their portion yet. We had a little minor setback with the water main break today. And then getting on to the 2012 street improvement program is actually just slightly ahead of schedule. Concrete work should be completed this week. I believe that Carlisle and Bedford are the last 2 streets that have one side remaining to be poured in concrete. And then I understand that the contractor is going to be removing pavement beginning next week, starting from north to south. And we should be seeing asphalt paving within the next 2 weeks. So we're anticipating that the project will be completed on time.
And if you could make sure that the Mr. Ossendorf side certainly gets backfilled. Obviously, we don't want to create trip hazards when we've been removing sidewalk squares to prevent trip hazards. We don't want to be part of something like that, so we'd make sure at the minimum, regardless of weather, that gets backfilled. So we'll take care of that as well. Melissa, you're up.
I've been preparing to have, I'm sure that everybody knows the 2 Dunkin' Donuts and there's a McDonald's on 31st Street that's preparing to have a second drive-through added to their location. All three businesses are required to have a special use for drive-through signage, so I'm preparing to have those items on the Plan Commission's agenda for November 7th. I've been meeting with my staff to update our pamphlets and forms that we give out to residents to make sure that it's easy and straightforward to apply for building permits. I was able to meet with a representative of the Chicago Highlands Golf Course and go over permitting for their project. I've been meeting regularly with my staff to go over status of permits that are in for review. I actually had the opportunity to meet with CMAP since the last board meeting and go over the status of the the comprehensive plan update. And I've been continuing to follow up with brokers and developers from the ICSC convention that I attended earlier in October. And I also attended the chamber networking lunch today. That's it.
Thank you. Kathy, any words from the clerkdom?
Nothing this evening.
Nothing. Thank you. Have a couple of things. I did receive word from the North Central Council of Mayors that approval has been given to designate Enterprise and Constitution as a collector street. So I would think that there's federal money involved in that in an 80-20. So if the board so desires, I will contact them to get that on their agenda for dollars. So hopefully it'll be awarded to get done. So if there's some concurrence on the board that we should go through with Enterprise all the way from Cermak Road all the way to Wolf Road, I will get that information to Lenny at the WCMC office who handles that. I did receive information, I think that we talked about the Basin 394 sanitary sewer lining project. There's a sign off from the MWRD, and it has been given a permit number 125098. If you saw in your packet, Chris Burke had information in there regarding the amounts and the bidding and how it came in under bid. So that's a good thing as well. I also received a letter from the Illinois Department of Transportation that talks about the Gladstone Bridge over Addison Creek. That's what the pictures are for. They've done a look-see to see what type of deterioration from one year to the next. I believe the last one they did was in 2009. And part of the thing here is that in addition, no overweight permit load should be allowed on this structure. So, and they have a coding in there that obviously is their code. So with that, I would like to have a direction to have some signage put up there. So any trucks that may lose their way along Gardner Road, which happens from time to time, that prior to crossing that bridge, and certainly we're not going to catch each and every one that may do, that we have some type of load permit on that bridge. So I believe our local streets under our recent ordinance is 12,000 pounds, that the sign should pretty much say that nothing over 12,000 pounds will traverse that bridge. And if it does, and they are certainly seen by the police, that certainly overweight citations will be issued accordingly. So I don't know if we need something special for that, Mike, or we can just use our regular ordinance on that.
Should be able to just do it
Okay.
administratively.
While at the Illinois Municipal League Conference, myself, Nick, and other trustees were approached by a advocate or a chief of staff, so to speak, from Governor Quinn's office, who gave us the heads up on Governor Quinn's allowance of money into the revolving fund to be used for water projects, not only drinking water projects, but it appears that there's stormwater projects as well. I've asked Janet to certainly research what we have in the hopper, especially this 384 North Sanitary Basin, and see if we can submit that as well. Also, we have the 384 South coming next year. And the third one is the 31st Street and Sunnyside relocation. I think for my reading of the information from John D'Alessandro from that office, that those would be permitted uses for money as well. We may also consider, I know we've talked about in the past, the water line on Derby Lane that has had a number of breaks in there as well. I don't know how far we are, and maybe we need to have some discussion with Dave if maybe that may be a permitted look-see as well. But looks like there's money out of the revolving fund. I don't know how it's going to be allocated, but I don't think that we should miss an opportunity to submit for these low-interest loanages. And again, when we deal with IEPA, we usually have an 18-month wait anyway. I don't know how long this wait will be, or if this is rushed a little quicker. I'm not certain, but I think we should be in at least a presentation mode to get these projects out to the sources that may be able to give us money on that as well. I did receive a call from a resident, and I'm just looking for some guidance because I didn't have the correct information or the correct answer to tell her. Apparently, her daughter lives on Manchester in the 1100 block, and the woman that I spoke to was a former resident who actually owned that house before but moved out to the country. They own a horse farm, and they drive a pickup truck type vehicle. However, because it does tow a horse trailer, it has to have a D. David plate. Our ordinance strictly prohibits D. David plates from pretty much being anywhere in the village, whether on private property or at somebody's house, of course, unless they're doing work and things of that nature. The lady asked me quite bluntly how she can visit her daughter if that is her only vehicle, which apparently it is. And I reviewed the ordinance with her, basically said, I'm sorry, but, accommodations generally are not made for vehicles with a D. David plate, which is over 12,000 pounds. B plates are 8,000 pounds, but as they go up. Our ordinance prohibits D, it prohibits tow trucks, it prohibits tractors and tractor trailers and any larger trucks to be parked on our streets unless they're doing some type of work. So, she has been given permission on 2 occasions by the police department, but is that something that we want to continue to do, to give permission or not? We don't, in our ordinance, have anything that says you get 3 permissions, 2 permissions, 1, or 100. So 1 minute you could be told yes, and 1 minute you could be told no. And that apparently happened in this regard, that they indicated to her that we'll give it to you today, but after this you've had a couple of them, we're not able to do that. Now, I did suggest that she's close enough to the corner where she may want to contact the Time Center and see if she can park there. But I did indicate that I would get back to her, so I guess what I'm asking is, do we want to create a plan? I know it opens up Pandora's box because you're going to have a number of people. I see truck tractors parked in commercial lots overnight on Manheim that I'm sure that the people that own them live on Bellevue somewhere. And apparently that's allowed because it's zoned for commercial property. Now, whether or not the owners there know these trucks are parking there, that's to be seen. So, Nick, discussion.
Could we put that on the next call? I mean, because there's gonna be 1,000, there's so many scenarios. This way it just gives us a chance to think of some options, and we just put it on the next call.
Yeah, that's fine, and what I would suggest, and I did have conversation with the chief, if we can kind of consolidate all our truck ordinances. I know we've talked about this once before, because apparently under our ordinance, a commercial B-plate vehicle, cannot be parked as well in driveways and yards and things of that nature as well. So although it hasn't been, I won't say strictly enforced, it has been when a complaint has been had, but there are a number of those that we see on a continual basis that are out there, and it may be time to take a look at the truck parking restrictions and ordinances and either change them or basically indicate that this is the way it is, and that's that. The other thing I did see, and there is a rather large sign that says, no trucks on side streets at Manheim and Crestwood, which I could not find any ordinance or anything to back that sign up. And that sign's been there for quite some time. That certainly was put there way before the chief came up with the truck ordinance that we have in place for the last year or so. So if in fact that's certainly an unenforceable sign, it doesn't have any weights or anything on it, that needs to be removed. So I'm not a fan of having signs up that have no ordinances to back them. So that certainly, if it doesn't have an ordinance, that should be removed. So if we can check that right away. Okay, that's pretty much all I have. The IML, again, there was a number of classes that we all attended. I know there's a number of us went down. There were certainly some legal classes on pension reform that I attended. I will be a panelist on November 17th down at the Chicago City Club at a Maggiano's location. That as president of WCMC, that I've been invited to sit with 2 other mayors and discuss pension reform, which should be interesting.
Sam, that date is actually Monday, November 19th?
19th, I'm sorry, the 19th. I'll be there the 17th, a couple days early. I'm gonna need it.
He'll still be talking 2 days later.
Probably. So, I hope they have a dinner menu. I think that's pretty much all I have. Is there an executive session?
No.
Okay, is there a motion, a second to adjourn the?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, who and who?
Second.
Who got the first?
Tommy.
Paul and Brian.
Tommy.
Whatever.
All right, how about Tom and Brian?
Whatever you got.
Tom and Brian, all in favor of adjourning our board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no.